happening.
Everything is wellness.
Everything,
Is wellness.
I
Gummy
know,
is wellness.
I
Vibration
know.
plate is
Everything.
wellness. Everything. Mattress is wellness.
The term wellness is so abused, and like I said, Instagram's best friend. I feel like burnout existed.
Yeah.
We just ignored it.
Biohacking now seems to be a big buzzword because it sounds cool. I know, it was very enjoyable.
No, honestly, this was lovely.
Sachi, I saw what you put out on the lobby report. I want to thank you, first of all. It's always nice to scroll and see something that comes up. It makes you more motivated to do what you do, and it's very reassuring. So thank you for that.
It came from a thought that wellness shouldn't feel like an escape. It should feel like a survival toolkit that is right next to you. I was actually booking my tickets, and I was like, hey, I want to go for this retreat. But that entire process in itself is a task.
Yeah.
While I'm burnt out. So I was like, hey, this is a bit awkward where I'm burnt out. I'm yet to do 10 things before I head out for a retreat. Why cannot a retreat be next to me in a space where we live in such a high stress environment? And I stumbled upon Dhun, and I researched about what you guys are doing. And I was like, this place has to be part of this narrative because this is a white space which people should know. And the reason why I am saying this, because I feel it every second month, with work and with the lifestyle that we live.
I think you decoded it really well. I couldn't have said it better because that was the intention. The intention was to be able to make wellness accessible, to make it integrative across various modalities, and also have it become a part of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very common analogy I give. You can't go to the gym for 7 days in the year and expect yourself to be healthy, fit, not have muscle loss.
Yeah.
So you can't do that for your organ systems. You can't do it for your body as a whole, where you go away for 7 days. And also, you're very right. Stress, burnout, fatigue. I think it's the new metabolic dysfunction for people of our age. You don't have to wait to get diabetes to think there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
If you're not sleeping well, if you're not if you're feeling bloated, if you're feeling like you're getting reflux, or you feel like your hair's thinning, you feel like your skin it's just lost its life.
Yeah.
These are all small signs. When they compound is when you have an actual problem. But why do we wait for that problem?
Absolutely.
So if we want to eat well, we want to have the right macros, we want to have the right micros, you want to exercise, you want to move, you need to incorporate wellness. And it's not only about mitochondrial health, and it's not only about meditation. You have to find the balance between the two.
Yeah.
And you should have access to all of it.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with you, because people of our generations, they want to now get into the macros of details. Why do we have a Whoop? Why do we have the Aura band? Because they want to really take care of themselves. I feel like the generation above us, they were like, haan, theek hai, ho jayega, it'll happen. But we're like, no, if there's an issue, let's resolve it. And I feel there is that white space. It wasn't like, oh, now we're burning out. I feel like burnout existed.
We just ignored it.
But what were the factors that, led you to a conclusion that, I want to start Dhun right now?
I think I started Dhun from recognizing, from a personal point of view, someone who wants to look after their body, someone who wants to understand and interpret signs and signals. But I don't have the kind of time that can allow me to go away for 7 days. It was as simple as that. I have done a 7-day detox every year, but I have never left the city. I did it in the first year. I've done it for the last 9 years. The first year I went crazy. A, because I left my daughter at home. B, because I was all by myself. And I just wanted to move. I didn't want to get away from the hustle and bustle. I wanted to lead my life and have something integrate into it. But I didn't have that opportunity. So I went away and I was like, I'm never doing this again. Then I found a way to get that entire kit and do this at home. And I just hacked my way through it for the next 8 years. And that's when that light bulb moment happened. I was like, there have to be other people like me who have the intention, they have the drive, they want to fix themselves, they understand themselves, but they don't have the time. they have responsibilities or they have circumstances that prevent them from leaving the city.
Yeah.
And that's where it started. The second point to that is actually you do this for 7 days and then what? So you need to sustain those results.
Yeah.
You need to be able to sustain yourself in a mean state of well-being. Of course, there will be dips and there'll be moments where you're feeling better with energy because you've been a little more disciplined.
Yeah.
But how do you make it a part of your lifestyle? So you should be able to have that access in a catchment area where you feel like, okay, this is the kind of time I can take out for myself without feeling like you're making a compromise on something else.
Right.
So it's about making the right choices without compromising on yourself.
Right. And this is one point that you just told me, which is so spot on, that I know a lot of people who go to these retreats, example, to lose weight or gut issues. They lose a lot of weight after 15, 20 days, come back, feel great, and after 2 months, they're back to where they were.
But that gut problem
Yeah.
didn't start and reach where it is in 7 days. So it is going to take you 7 days to give it that kickstart. That's why we have our 7-day wellness programs for gut health, for women's health and hormones, for sleep, stress. And then you come in more regularly, once a week, twice a week, to sustain those results. Now, that is where I feel like you put all of this effort in and then you lose all the benefits that you've been able to allow your body to achieve. And I think it's really important to treat the body kindly without burning out your mind. Like you mentioned the Whoop or a ring or a body composition analysis check or now genetic testing. It's giving you a lot of data.
Yeah.
What I see in that respect of longevity is what do we do with that data? So what I want to build out further at Dhun is to connect the dots between testing, treatment, and technology.
Okay.
Now I can test and I can give you all of this data. If I made you feel more overwhelmed with all of this information than when you came in, I haven't done my job. I need to give you the right treatment protocols and I need to assist you with the right technology to be able to overcome all the issues that this data is showing you.
And is that what you're building now, or is this that's what you're building
So what
now?
we've done here is to have a traditional form of testing, which is the Nadi Pariksha. We also have a bioenergetic scan. And of course, building forward further into longevity, it's going to be a lot more clinical. But the treatments are going to be a healthy balance of touch and technology.
Okay. Just take me through that phase of yours where, you sort of started taking and believing in these systems. I don't know when, but yeah.
I kind of feel I've always had a natural propensity towards it. My grandfather was a homeopath.
Okay.
So understanding body signals, alternative medicine, it wasn't new to me. I was a believer before I could question it.
Yeah.
And then I think I got into my teenage years when kitchen facials became a thing because I saw my mom doing that at Shahnaz Hussain salon. She's a legend.
Yeah.
And I think those two things, there was always a sense of inquisitiveness that how can we help the body without attacking it, by supporting it, being more gentle, also asking deeper questions and then having deeper answers and deeper results. I think over time, it has always been an area of interest.
Okay.
Biohacking now seems to be a big buzzword because it sounds cool, but biohacking is not just limited to an HPOT and cryotherapy. How can we evolve biohacking in the Indian context? Now, we already have a school of medicine and I'd like to say wisdom, which is Ayurveda. It is relevant to the Indian context. Let's build on those fundamentals and use Ayurveda as a lifestyle and then integrate technology into it. Let's integrate best practices from across the world. It could be Japanese facial techniques. It could be Brazilian lymphatic drainage. Lymphatics has become such a big deal in recovery, in this big umbrella of biohacking. People are more open to red light and sitting in a machine. That doesn't mean that they don't value the human touch. And it is seeing all of this happen around me where I felt like we don't have this in a city in India. So I couldn't set up a place which had machines.
Yeah.
I needed to create a place where people can feel cared for, where they feel seen, they feel understood. It's a journey, it's not the end. And where I felt like sound actually came into this whole thing, because it's called Dhun. All of our rooms are named after, musical interpretations. Yeah. It's because it's a universal language. When you sit in silence and you listen to a sound, that feeling makes you feel very grounded. It's that feeling that I wanted to create here in Dhun. So it's okay. You can have the buzz of cryotherapy and you can have the calm of Shirodhara. But that universal language of stillness and sound is what I wanted to create with Dhun and continue to move forward with.
But your services feel very connected. You did mention you have aspects of Chinese integration and Indian therapeutic integration as well. But I feel like they're from the same universal thought.
Yeah.
So how do you really build the service at Dhun, keeping in mind, picking up different belief systems across the globe and coming up with this program?
So Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine, they are sister schools.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to create a map on butter paper, put them one on top of the other, they are so closely aligned.
Okay.
TCM and Ayurveda, they're actually speaking the same language. They are, first and foremost, the body is more than just a sum of its parts. It functions as a whole. Secondly, there are various elements. Chinese medicine differentiates it into 6 elements, whereas Ayurveda separates it into 3 kinds of doshas. The second is various different planes on which your body is functioning. There is a physical plane. There is energy, which is chi in Chinese medicine. It's ojas in Ayurveda. That has a big impact because we're human beings.
Yeah.
And apart from that, there is an external environment in which this human body functions. How does it interact with the external environment? Whether it's cold and dry outside or it's hot and humid, the kind of food that you eat. So the way they function is they put the body as a whole in the center as a nucleus, and they honor that. They honor the body's individual constitution.
Okay.
So you can have a cold and I can have a cold, but it's not stemming from the same reason. That's the fundamental difference with Western medicine, which is an outside-in approach, whereas Eastern or traditional medicine is an inside-out approach. And I felt like that was lacking. I felt that we first look at the problem. You have a cold. Why do I not put this individual at the center and try to understand what makes up this human body? What are its tendencies? Does it have a tendency to catch a cold in cold, dry weather? Does it have a tendency to get migraines if it eats very spicy food? Does it have a restless mind? Does it have a lazy body? Heavy bones, light bones? It's all there in Ayurveda. So when you are able to understand this body, it's very easy to put the pieces together. And so when you honor the body's individual constitution, to create a map from you ahead is easier than to stop at somewhere in the middle. I have a cold. I have a bad gut. What's causing that? So here at Dhun, your journey begins with a Nadi Pariksha, with a tongue analysis, with a bioenergetic scan. We create an entire map of who you are and then suggest the right treatment protocols for you. It could be a 7-day program. It could be a treatment plan where you come in twice a week for 4 weeks. And it could be something that is extremely personalized for brides, where you're not just addressing the aesthetics, you're making sure that they're not feeling stressed and restless and burnt out and anxious with what's coming in. So we've got physical treatments, body work, technology, as well as healing treatments here.
And sort of identifying what the need is very personalized, I would say, and then incorporating your...
Personalized. Yeah. Exactly. The key here is personalized, and personalized just doesn't mean a blood test. or an IV fluid.
Yeah. I love what you said right now. It gives a lot of perspective in terms of where we're heading as well, right? In the space of wellness. But when I walked into Dhun, I felt the five sensory experience. And the five sensory experience in branding is playing a fairly large role right now. You have third spaces, you have retail stores, you have clinics who want to sort of build the whole five sensory experience. But how do you build it the right way?
If you put that individual at the center, how are they going to feel when they come here? I think for me, every aspect of Dhun is an embodiment of me, how I want someone to feel. For example, when we were looking at the layout and how we wanted to plan this, and I worked very closely with Ankur on that, is I don't want to have any dead ends. It needs to feel like a continuous circle and an energy flow. You can keep going round and round in circles. At the same time, it needs to feel like you're enveloped in a cocoon. Because you're in Bombay, it's so noisy. When you step in, you should feel that tempo decrease. The way the walls are, there are curved edges. This room is built in a way that sound bounces off. That's why it's called the resonance room. It's not just for fun. Having a signature scent, I think it's very underrated. But when you come in, you should be reminded of the experience you had before. And I think that when you create something with intent, it automatically disrupts. When you put someone's experience and well-being at that core of your ideation, and you're not just thinking of it as how quickly can I turn this room around. Of course, operations are extremely important.
Yeah.
How quickly can I turn it around? How many people will come in? Should I add more rooms? No, we're going to have bigger rooms because you go into a tiny space, you're not going to feel relaxed. So if that means I need to cancel one room, it's fine because I'm elevating that guest experience. I don't need to create a room so big when no treatment is happening and generating no revenue from this room. It could be the stupidest decision ever. But when you come in here and have your cup of tea, and the tea that we've had specially made for you to have after your treatment to be able to detox, it is so that you can continue that state of calm and relaxation before you go back and your tempo's up again.
Yeah. So what are the elements that are very, I would say, very Dhun over here?
I have to say the interiors, of course, the vanilla walls, the general palette, it's to calm you down.
Yeah.
To me, it's the D on the door. The D for Dhun and the D of the door. Even the rooms having been inspired by music. But each machine is inside a room. So you get your sense of privacy. You can interact with the machine and use it the way that you like. One of my favorite things is actually the guest attire that we've planned out. So that was a collaboration with Calling June.
Yeah.
I felt like if I want someone to spend a lot of time here, I want them to spend between 2 to 4 hours here. I want them to feel comfortable going from one room to another. Now, the moment I tell them dress and undress, I have broken the flow of calm.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you an attire. You can be absolutely free.
Yeah.
So we created guest attire that allows you to move very smoothly from one space and one treatment to another. And it's a small element. We didn't need to do it. But it's intentional because you want to have a continuous experience. It's like music. You don't want to stop suddenly.
It's quite nice, I must say. Yes, I feel like you need it. You're going to sell out. And the fact that, you are the voice, you have your own voice. When you come on a social platform, you come off as a very calm, collected individual. Now you have Dhun. How does that translate into the brand voice of Dhun that you're creating?
My voice gives a push to Dhun. Dhun has its own identity. I think it's very important for us to acknowledge that as a founder, you do everything it takes to give your brand and your business support. It's your baby.
Yeah.
So till it can't walk, you'll keep holding its hands. But because it's built out of my personal belief, I don't need to pretend. This is what I do. It's an extension of my lifestyle. And I'm really glad that people are finding a sense of recognition and community that this is exactly what we needed. This is exactly what we wanted. When I interact with people at the desk, I take calls to understand how are people speaking, what are their questions, how can we refine our communication, looking at Instagram DMs, how have our ads performed, what people are saying about Dhun on social media, every client feedback, whether it's positive or negative, fixing it operationally or with the product in itself. I think it comes to me naturally because it's my passion. It's not work. I can speak about it all day, every day. I know even when it comes to longevity, we're going to be the best. But it will take time. Because longevity goes one step further from wellness. When you have IVs, they need to be proprietary. They need to be personalized.
Yeah.
When you have genetic testing and markers, you need to have the right analysis for that. If you're doing things like blood washing, it just makes me think, really, is that required? That's quite intense.
Yeah, sounds intense.
But if someone's talking to me about HBOT or an IHHT machine, I will want to understand why, which one works, which one doesn't. Who is it good for? So when you build out longevity, which I think is an extension of wellness, they're not actually different. But let's say a little more clinical. You need to have all your ducks in a row. So it's not going to be what you get anywhere else. But when it comes, it's going to be the best.
And what are we seeing in terms of a trend in the space of wellness? What's next?
I think wellness, the trend for wellness definitely is urban. Secondly, personalized. People don't want to feel like a cookie cutter.
Yeah.
It needs to be tailored for you, your lifestyle, your goals. Thirdly, I do feel people want fast fixes, but slowly our generation is understanding the concept of patience.
Yeah.
So when you have data and instinct come together, or data and wisdom come together, I think that is the sweet spot. I don't think people have explored it yet, so it's not really a trend, but for me, that's what I'm interested in.
And in terms of the consumer, what are they looking forward? What is that one treatment that people are always opting for?
Vibrato, which is our deep tissue, it's a no-brainer, right?
Okay.
You're tired, your body's aching.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm pleasantly surprised by how much people are taking to the Ayurveda offerings.
Okay.
To Abhyanga, to Shirodhara, to the Potli massage, to Udvartanam, and now to the 7-day programs that exist. So we realize that, okay, 7 days time commitment. Can we do 3 days? Can we do 1 day? Let's make it a little more personalized to someone's lifestyle. That was the idea. The idea is not to dump something on you and expect you to commit.
Yeah.
If the idea was to integrate it in your lifestyle, let's do that. Let's make it more flexible. That was the learning that we had.
Okay.
So I'm pleasantly surprised with how open people are to longer duration programs.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And who is the audience? Like, what is, the age group that's coming in?
It's funny. Each of our offerings has a different audience.
Okay.
Recovery is something that's very popular with people between 26 to 40. A lot of them come after they played pickle. They come in on a Sunday when they're doing like the ultimate recovery circuit, which is all 3 machines together. Facials start at about 25, go up to 55. Ayurveda is a favorite. But of course, it starts a little older, which is 40 plus. Apart from that, bodywork treatments, age agnostic. Everyone has aches and pains.
Yeah.
But it's not an ache and pain kind of treatment. The oil is dependent on your constitution.
And what do you think, in terms of the Indian audience, what do they struggle with the most?
Well, I'd say the first one has to be burnout because we ignore it.
Yeah.
The second one is metabolic dysfunction. I think it's well known that India is the diabetes capital of the world. But that's metabolic dysfunction. We do not address it early on. We don't incorporate enough movement. which we're doing now. We don't eat as mindfully as we used to before because there's no time. And when I say mindfully, I mean the keto diets and the skipping breakfasts and, OMADs and those kind of things, which is what leads to a lot of these issues. If you give a Pitta body type, intermittent fasting is the worst thing you can do for them. They naturally have a very robust digestive fire. So if you don't give that fire breakfast in the morning, it's going to spike up so much and there you have the migraine at 12.
And what is your favorite therapy or treatment over here?
So I love Sculpt.
Okay.
Sculpt is our lymphatic drainage treatment. So we use strokes, points, a lot of tools, and that's to move around the lymph in your body, de-bloat, get rid of the excess water retention. Thing with lymph is it can't move by itself. It doesn't have a pump.
Okay.
So the circulatory system has a heart which pumps the blood. Lymph doesn't have a pump. It needs to be manually moved.
Got it.
That's when you have stagnation and you feel puffy. It gives you that instant snatch. That's why I like it.
Yeah. Most of the Brazilians do that. They do a lot of these lymphatic massages on their
And that's what
stomach.
It's based on. That's what it's based on. Because I have seen the lobby report and I see you interact with so many brands. I want to know what made Dhun stand out to you.
You have identified the why of the brand very well. You've identified that there is a need for a specific service or a product. So you've hit the why very well, which I feel as a brand is very, very important. That's the baseline of creating the brand.
Speaking of founder-led marketing, where do you see that going? Because we see this on Instagram. These trends pick up and then there is fatigue.
Yeah.
Where do you see that going?
I think founder-led marketing is here to stay. But what is going to evolve is performative founder-led marketing. Because the consumer will believe the founder first before the brand. They want to know how the brand started, what is the product made of, or whether it's a service. I think the consumers want to understand the crux of the brand. The founder is the face of the brand and speaks about that specific topic, but it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel real. And that's where you lose the audience. You might take a different approach, but the approach of founder-led marketing will not work because you have to be real. You have to feel like you are embedded into the system of the brand. And nowadays, everyone is heading into that direction of founder-led marketing. The ones that are leading are the ones that actually live that life or actually live that ritual or believe in the product from scratch. This is where, founder-led marketing in the next couple of years is sort of heading towards.
Interesting. I mean, it's a great point to note because I think being authentic is imperative with the audience and people who are potential consumers of your product, your service, your brand, your business. And I think that fine line between staying real and being scripted because it's a trend.
And the fact that you told me you're here from Monday to Friday. Really, that's when I realized, you're very involved. Means that you're dedicated. This is who you are. It comes very natural to you. And I feel that I can see that in Dhun in multiple touch points, whether it is the color of the wall, whether it is, the tone of maroon that you have chosen as a soft touch point that I'm seeing everywhere. I feel that is coming out in a very soft, calm way, which who you are anyways as a person.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Of course. Anytime.
Thank you for this chat. I really enjoyed it. It's always interesting to understand this side of things. When someone from the outside has seen what you've done for some time, and I love to learn. I love hearing feedback. That's why I take those calls and I go through every DM and ask people how they felt. And this is like I said earlier, you've caught on to things that I couldn't have said better. So thank you.